My dear, today we will learn about the capital budgeting techniques and its application in MS Excel. Capital budgeting is actually a planning process regarding the long-term investment where we decide that should we accept the project or not. The discounted cash flows techniques are net present value, internal rate of return, and profitability index. First, we will focus on the net present value. How could this technique could be used in MS Excel? For example, we have the 5-year project. The required rate of return from this project is 10%. The initial investment is 2,50,000, and similarly these are the cash inflows at different time period. So my dear, we have different method to calculate it. The concept of the net present value is that we calculate the present value of the each cash inflows and then deduct it from the initial investment. So the very first task is to calculate the present value of the cash inflows and then deduct it from the initial cash outflow. So first we will supposed to find out the present value. In previous video we learned how to find the present value. Formula is PV bracket, then select the discount rate. I am fixing it that because of the dragging I don't want to make it change. The number of period is the number of period is 1 year for the first, and then double comma because we are not considering the annuity concept. So future value with it is in bracket, so we will select a minus sign and then 0 means that this payment is at the end of the year. So my dear, this is how we individually find out the present value of the cash flows, and the initial investment is itself a present value today because it is on the time period 0. So the concept is that once you have calculated the present values, then you are supposed to sum it. So this is the net present value of the project. Another method we use, that is the present value formula. You have to consider one thing, that by using the Excel present value formula, it is used for the NVT. When the stream of cash, by NVT we means there are 3 conditions: when the stream of cash flow is same, and the time interval of the payment or receipt is same, and the third one is the maturity is given. Like in this case, if we see that the cash inflows are same, the maturity is given, that is 5 year, and time interval is also same, it is receipt at the end of the each period. So in this case we can use the present value formula, equal present value, select the rate and then time period. Now we are considering the annuity concept, so the total number of years are 5. Okay, last time I select the future value, this time I am selecting the payment. The payment concept is used for the annuity. So again I will put a minus sign. Okay, no, we are not considering the future value. At last we are I'm writing 0 because this payment is at the end of the period. So this is the answer of the present value of these cash flows. Summation. First, this formula do 2 steps. First it find the present value of each cash flows and then it add it also. So to calculate the NPV, the concept is add the present value of cash flows, which is already done, and then deduct the initial investment. So this is the basically answer of the NPV, which you can see in both cases like this. And now my dear, by using the NPV formula, and in NPV formula, okay, there is no restriction of the NPV formula could use for the when the stream of cash flow is same or even it is a different. Like for example, in this case we can use the NPV formula. NPV, select the rate and then select the range of the values. Now these are the values. Okay, this NPV formula is used to find out the present value of the cash flows. So once I click it, you may see that this both are same. This NPV formula did not directly calculate the net present value, but it calculates the present value of the cash flows. In this case, there is an advantage that if the cash flows are same or although it is a different, so you can find out the present value by the NPV formula. So now let us adjust it with NPV formula. The concept of NPV is that once you have calculated the present value of cash flows, then you are supposed to deduct the initial investment. Initial investment is written with a minus sign. That is why I am putting a plus sign here. Plus and minus is equal to minus. Now you can see that the NPV in three cases is same. So the final formula of the NPV is that equal NPV select the range of the cash inflows and then at the end deduct the initial investment. So my dear, now even if we can, in this case we cannot apply the present value formula because the cash inflows are different. So we are only left with the NPV formula, which we previously considered is a number of values range is this one and then plus initial investment. The NPV in this case is it is in percentage form. Let me convert it into the number value. The present value of the cash flow is 634. So you cannot apply here the present value formula because it is only used for the NVT case. So that is why in such case we only use the NPV formula. Hopefully you learned it. Now the second task is the acceptance criteria of the NPV is that if the value of the net present value is positive, means greater than 0 or even equal to 0, we used to accept this project. Similarly, the profitability index is the same concept, but it gives us result in the ratio form. The formula of the profitability index is this is the formula of the profitability index. We first find out the present value of cash inflows and then we divide it on initial investment. So in NPV we deduct it and in profitability index we divide it. Like in this case again I will take help from the NPV. What this formula does, this formula find out the present value of the cash flows. We have find out the present value of cash flows by this formula. So in this case I am not deducting it, but I am dividing it. So both the techniques shows that this project is acceptable. Profitability index, if it is greater than or equal to 1, the criteria is to accept it, otherwise reject it. The third one is the IRR. IRR is a technique where it shows that the present value of cash inflow is equal to the initial investment. In other words, IRR is that particular discount rate where the NPV is equal to 0. So formula of the IRR is equal IRR and then it is asking for the values. Now these are the values. Select the bracket and enter it. Let me calculate it in a percentage form. It shows that if your discount rate is 67.79, it means then your NPV will be 0. Let's check it. If this is 67.79, now you can see that our NPV is equal to 0, or in other words our profitability index is equal to 1. So let me bring it again on a previous situation. So these are the techniques used in the capital budgeting. Yes, you can draw a formula here also. If this value is less than 0, then reject it, then write reject, otherwise accept it. Now you can see that the NPV is greater than 0, that is why it is accepted. For profitability index, the criteria is that if this value is less than 1, then you are supposed to reject it, otherwise you are supposed to accept it. So you can see again this is accepted. For the criteria for the IRR is if this value is less than the discount rate, then you are supposed to reject it, otherwise accept it. So you can see that the 3 methods shows that this project is acceptable. Thank you my dear. If you learn it, please share with others also, and if you have any question, please comment it.